Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Thank you very much joining us today. Today with Harmony and Droplets of Mercy, we are organizing an event that talk about hate speeches, racism, and digital intifada in social media. Because throughout last 1 year, like today is the 400th days of Gaza genocide. I don't know which one of it, but like it's after October 6th, it's the last genocide of Israel. It happened like 400 days today. Also, it's not just the Palestine, it's not just Gaza. We are also witnessing in East Turkistan. We are also witnessing in Syria. We are also witnessing in Lebanon. Right now, the Muslims are facing problems, and then like they're facing genocide, they're facing massacres throughout the region. So we want to talk about how to raise awareness. Today we have distinguished guests. We're very happy to host them today here. So this is actually what we wanted to do as Harmony and Droplets of Mercy, to give more people how to raise awareness, how to do it in social media, how to make people believe what happens right now. So as Harmony, in last 1 year, more than 1 year, we are covering all the Gaza genocide. Also, we're covering the East Turkestan, and also the Syrian problem, also the Lebanon, and we have taken attention more than 100 million times. Like we have people came to our account, they gave interaction, they watched our videos, they watched our contents, so that we want to raise more people we want to raise more people's attention. So today we are very happy to host our distinguished guests. So I will give the floor our moderator today, Mr. Abdureşid. Please just introduce our friends. Okay, move.
Thank you so much, Brother Yavuz. So let's start. I will be in the middle. Yeah. Okay. MashaAllah. So okay. So I will start to inviting to the stage, starting from Brother Yavuz Yiğit. He is the founder of Harmony, and also I know him from the long time. He always introduced by mentioned it to me by a lot of our the Muslim brothers and sisters who are living here, but they are not originally from Turkey. They said the Yavuz was always the one who raising awareness about the xenophobia and a lot of things. Alhamdulillah, we worked a lot in terms of East Turkestan and other projects, and today we are here. So now I will invite one by one. So I will invite Brother Ameer. So this is alphabetical, okay, guys? So Ameer is the founder of the Muslim, the Instagram account, which has 6.4 million followers. And then Brother Ameer, he will introduce himself. Actually, he is Palestinian and who is living in the United States, who managing the social media account has 6.4 million followers. We will listen to him and his experience, inshallah. So next person will be Brother Mohamad El Attar, that Muslim guy. He's the social media name, okay? So that Muslim guy, would like to invite him. He's also founding manager of Droplets of Mercy, one of my beloved friend. Last one is he's as my mentor, my friend, a lot of things to me, Professor Khaled, a law professor in the United States, and Khaled Beydoun. Please come to the stage. Actually, we have a lot of special guests who are listening. We have Belal Khaled, actually one of the journalists and photographer from Gaza. MashaAllah. Actually, you should be here. Yeah. Belal, you should join us, please. No. Okay. MashaAllah. So this session will be very valuable session. We have a lot of surprising for you, actually. Alhamdulillah. This is the barakah of the masjid. So brother Belal Khaled is a photographer. He's a journalist who covered what happened and still happening in Gaza, the genocide. He was the calligraphy artist. I was following him for 2 or 3 years. And suddenly when the 7th October, the Tufan Aqsa started, I saw him the posting about those things on his story. I said, oh, he was there. And then he covered a lot and a lot. We will listen to him, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, this is very special session will be. So, I want to start from when I listen to everyone, want to know, maybe it is better to know those people as an individual and a person. Who are there and how they managed to have this kind of social influence, mobilizing people. So we just returned from some part of the guys from the march from Sultan Ahmed to Yeni Jami. And also brother Belal Khaled and Khaled Beydoun, they were attending AA and the women conference today and yesterday and tomorrow there will be. And also they also talking about Gaza. So they are the people who has a mobilizing power and influence among the Muslim population around the world. So actually we have very strong team now. So I am more excited. So inshallah. So let me start to ask from my right side, from Yavuz. Who are you, as a Yavuz? Yeah, we know Harmony, we know and Okuldish, we know a lot you did, alhamdulillah, until today. So I just want to know that, who is the Yavuz and what is his thinking? And then, how you started the Harmony? Okay, and also, I would like to just inform you guys, this is not your reminder, just inform gently that maybe we keep it short answers and make it a little bit something that don't let those guys sleep, inshallah. Yeah. So please. Thank you.
Very short answer, actually. I do, I'm a debater. I started my career as a debater. I'm the founder of Debating Foundation of Turkey and also the Public Speaking Foundation of Turkey. 5 years ago, we started, 4 years ago, we started Harmony. The reason is there were a lot of hate speeches against Syrians and also refugees in Turkey. And the tensions increased. But nobody was on their side. The social media just attacking them, and so nobody is defending them, and nobody was creating positive contents about Syrians. So on that time we took a stand. It was a very risky account, actually, the Harmony, because it's the most followed and most unfollowed account I can say in Turkey, because people are following, oh, it's a good content, it's great, oh, they create awareness. Then when we post something Syrian, then they say, oh, this they're just unlike it, and then unfollow it. So it's what we face, actually. So I'm the guy who can't stand these kind of inequalities. So I worked in when there's attacks on the Kurdish people in Turkey, I was there. When there's attacks on the headscarf people in 2000s, so I was defending those people. Also the Syrian people, we started to support them in 2012. So I'm the one who can't stand these kind of unfair stuff. So the Harmony, as you know, in the last 4 years we are trying to raise awareness for refugees, for black people, for Uyghur people, for Palestinians, Syrians, Lebanon. So that's what we do, and that's who I am, actually, mainly.
Thank you so much. So our next speaker will be, I want to ask Professor Khaled. I know him very well, so I just want to ask to let you guys know. Professor Khaled, you are the one who has millions of followers. You are the one who gained a lot of attention. Even I think you have a lot of impact socially to the United States Muslim communities or other the people. You have a lot of books about Islamophobia, law and justice, and a lot of things. So before that, who was the Khaled Beydoun that who always very vocal for all the injustice around the world? Because I think you are the one who always never forget anyone in this world who faces injustice. You can like count every single nation, people, region who are facing genocide, Islamophobia, injustice, Muslim, non-Muslim, male, female. Okay, who are you?
Yeah, that's a really nice introduction. So beyond and before social media, I'm a law professor. I've been teaching law at an American law school for about 10 years. Before then, I was a lawyer for 10 years. I began as a civil rights lawyer, and practicing in that field just was a natural segue to want to write about not only Islamophobia, but civil rights and civil liberties issues that were being denied to a whole range of subordinated people. And when I wrote my first book on American Islamophobia, that was the natural springboard towards building a social media presence. So it wasn't really my decision. It was kind of like a happenstance development as a consequence of writing that first book now about 8 years ago when Trump was first elected, and now Trump is re-elected again. So it might be high time to write a new book on Islamophobia.
Thank you so much. So let's come to that Muslim guy. I should stand a little bit far away to use that to you. So that Muslim guy, sorry, Mohamad is one of my friends also for 2 years. I know him, a Palestinian, very funny. At the same time, his funniness is to highlighting actually what is happening toward us, the one is who facing oppression. He's not like telling us the joke about the like really funny thing is actually he joking and mocking actually the oppressors, the oppressionists. He just wanted to like the brought the attention of the people to the oppressed people. As a Palestinian who highlighted the oppressionists who like the Palestinian people faced, Uyghurs faced, people of East Turkistan, Sudanese, Lebanese, and everyone faced. And also he's here in the mission to the helping Uyghur community in Turkey as like one of the representative of Droplets of Mercy. So okay, Mohamad, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good too.
Jazakallah khair for that great introduction. So as you just mentioned, I'm a Palestinian Canadian, and just that, and I'm a Muslim. So as a Palestinian Canadian Muslim, there's a lot of misinformation going on about Palestinians and Muslims in Canada. So by trade, I am an accountant, and I worked in that industry for almost a decade. And when I'd interact with non-Muslim coworkers who didn't know much about Islam, didn't know much about minorities, and then through my interactions, I would hear a repeating theme, and that is, Mohammed, you're a funny Muslim. You're funny for a Muslim. I wish there were more Muslims like you. And then it got me thinking, there's 2 billion Muslims out there. I'm sure there's an amazing group of Muslims out there in the hundreds of millions, in fact, maybe 2 billion of them, and you're just misinformed. And I realized through doing stand-up comedy and all of these other extracurricular activities that as a humanity, we speak one language, and that's comedy. And when people are willing to laugh, they're willing to learn. So I decided to put those together and talk about Islam and politics using comedy as a means to educate people about Islam and combat Islamophobia. And that's who that Muslim guy is in a nutshell.
MashaAllah. Actually, like being accountant in my imagination is like someone, an uncle, 40 years old, with a glass, like always wearing jacket, right? Never tell a joke, sometimes never talk in like few weeks. But you are like too funny to be accountant, like. Okay. Yeah, brother Ameer, I know him like a few months before also, like he is very humblest man. Whoever has millions of the followers, like among other influencers I met, like you all the humblest guy, okay? So Ameer is one of the very, very humble one, and also like he's very curious about a lot of things. Like I think I want to know also about more about you. Okay, Ameer, who are you? Like what do you want to tell us about yourself?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you guys so much for coming and you guys facilitating this and having me. A loaded question, who is Ameer Al-Khatahtbeh? I'm 26 years old. I'm Palestinian American, born and raised in New Jersey. Not a lot of people know how Muslim came to be, but I guess the roots of it, I was always prominent, or I always had a presence on social media. I started on Tumblr, if anyone in this room remembers Tumblr. But I had like a prominent presence over there, and that's kind of what engaged me and informed me on a lot of different social justice issues. Like for instance, in 2015, when I was in high school, it was when Mike Brown was killed in Ferguson, and that's what led to the Black Lives Matter movement, and it was kind of the first time that I saw social media be mobilized that led to like actual, like on the streets, change, conversation. So it pivoted me from high school, Ameer, that had an established presence on social media, and pivoting into studying journalism and media at Rutgers University. And subhanAllah, I had amazing mentors. I was also working for a lot of different news organizations as an intern. But I had a lot of great mentors, such as like Naomi Klein from The Intercept, who was my professor, Juan Gonzalez, who's the co-founder of Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman. And actually, it's crazy that I'm here right now, and we're living in this time, because as soon as I arrived to Istanbul, Donald Trump was re-elected as president, and how Muslim came to be was when I was studying journalism at university, Donald Trump was elected. And I actually was, when I went to journalism, a lot of my colleagues or classmates were writing about like Beyonce's latest album or Zendaya's latest red carpet look. But I found myself writing a lot about the Muslim travel ban, because I had an Iranian roommate that was impacted by the travel ban, as well as a Yemeni roommate that was also impacted by the travel ban. So I worked with, Naomi Klein and Juan Gonzalez about a report on how it was affecting college students. And when it came time to publish it, they were like, okay, where would you want to publish it? The Intercept, Democracy Now! And I was like, I want my audience to be Muslims, because I want to inform Muslim students that if they're impacted by the Trump travel ban, the university's not on your side. And I started to do research and digging to look for like a news outlet, like a mainstream news outlet and publication to publish the piece, and I couldn't find one. And this happened in 2017, and I just became tunnel visioned, and I was like, I think there's a need here to create a mainstream news outlet for Muslim stories to be told and to reach the Muslim audience. But I haven't launched Muslim until February 2019. So the idea came to me in 2017, and throughout college I was kind of working on it on the side until I had the confidence to move forward.
Thank you so much. So, Brother Bilal, like you are known, especially with the last coverage about what happened during your staying in Gaza, and also like after that about Gaza. And you are one of the artists that I always enjoy your the sense of art, really, on this matter. So I just want to know who is Bilal? Who is Belal Khaled? And just can you tell us about yourself a little bit?
So, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Belal Khaled. I was born in Khan Yunis, a refugee camp. It's southern of Gaza Strip. I was born in a refugee camp, and as you know, who born in a refugee camp, we got education and we got food, we got healthcare through the UNRWA, through the UN, United Nations. And I was born in the first Intifada, and for me, as born in a conflict area, an area faces a lot of Intifada, a lot of wars. When I looked to the people in Gaza, I saw just two types of people. One of them, he carry a gun, and one of them, he carry a camera. So I choose the one who carry the camera and to deliver my message and my people message to the world through the photography, through the photojournalism. So this reason, I think it was beginning since the first Intifada, the second Intifada, sorry, when I saw Mohamad El Attar was killing in front of the camera, and the whole world was seeing how he was protecting by his dad, and actually no one they did nothing and they don't care. They killed them in front of the camera. So I was realized there like how much the powerful of the photography and how much the powerful of like one video or like one photo, it can change the world. That's why I decided like to be a journalist. I covered a lot of wars in Gaza, and I covered also wars outside of Gaza. I covered the war in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, in Azerbaijan. I also like the starving in Somalia and Sudan. Always I'm focusing on the people who are suffering around the world, like refugee, like the people who are victims in that countries, like who need like to raise their voice, because I'm one of them. Like I count myself one of them because I'm a refugee. I live in Gaza as a refugee. The last genocide, unfortunately, I was outside of Gaza on October 7. At that morning, I opened the TV, I saw the news, I realized that it will be like a big war against my people. So I decided directly and go at the same day. So I went to Gaza at October 7, direct from Doha to Cairo. Then we took a car through Rafah border, and it took me 2 days like to arrive to Gaza, because we don't have like the airport, we don't have anything there. Then I started covering the genocide there. It was like exceptional. It was different than any war I covered around the world, any war I covered in Gaza also. From the first week of genocide, they destroyed all of the journalists' houses and offices, and we found ourselves working from a tent inside a hospital under the very hard situation. And we start like every day covering hundreds of massacres actually, and this was unbelievable. We found, until now I cannot like believe that I'm out of Gaza and I'm alive, because after all of the attacking for the journalism, now we are talking about more than 187 journalists, they are killed. And we was attacked there a lot of times. But alhamdulillah, Allah, He wants us to be here at this moment. So we didn't believe that we will survive from this genocide, because a lot of attacking against the civilians, the hospitals, the houses, and even my house, like it got like bombed 3 times, and my mother, my sister, they got injured, and I lost like many of my friends, many of my neighbors, many of my relatives also living in the same area. So we don't have like words like to explain what we faced there in Gaza, but this is just like a brief for what we saw.
Thank you so much. It was like very serious that everyone has like, especially the ones who are has a social influence, especially on social media, to impact people. Actually, there's a starting point. That starting point was something that they stand up to change something. As that Muslim guy said, he started because the people thinking that there is a lot of like, there's one Muslim, funny Muslim, and then he want to change that sentiment and the perception about the Muslims to stand up and to talk about the Muslim. And also like the brother Ameer told us like how he started Muslim. And also brother Mr. Khaled and brother Yavuz, like everyone just started to do that, to just tell the people. As a brother Belal, like he also like traveled from Doha, the peaceful place, to the war zone, when to cower, when to stand up, and then the people following them and listening them, right? I think like always it is a point that when you stand up for the justice, so which is the digital Intifada meaning, that, and then you're talking about justice and injustice, and then there's a lot of people actually, they care about that, and they come today or for other events and talk with you. So let's continue then, like with my few questions, and then I will leave the stage for the Q&A, because I think like a lot of people want to ask in this stage, audience want to ask. So, like, as long as the mic is on the hand of Ameer, I just want to ask you the first question. So, how do you think about your, like, okay, there's one like sentences that it is very famous because of Spider-Man, but actually it should be known to the Muslims that your ability comes from the responsibility, right? So what does that, what do that 6.4 million followers meaning to you always like? Do you think like you have very heavy responsibility every time you posting, right? Sometimes there will be some wrong wording. You are not Trump, like all like sending like bullshit tweets, right? So how are you feeling every time you're posting? And yeah, what do you think the result also?
Yeah, Bismillah. It is a lot of responsibility, right? We have the username Muslim across social media, right? So we have a responsibility and duty to make sure that we are serving all Muslims. And the Muslim community is a big range, right? You have probably like the most cultural Muslim all the way to like the most traditional Muslim. And you have to, I made sure, and it's a lot of trial and error, that I am reaching all of them, whether it's like someone that's like very cultural to the point that they're not really practicing, to like a Muslim that is like very like by the book, traditional. Every single time I post, I don't quite think about the numerics or the number or the reach. When I went into journalism, it kind of was for, you know, justice, for accountability. So for me, every single time that I make a post, I know that my intentions are pure to make sure that a message is being delivered somewhere, whoever the recipient is. So I don't look at numbers. I don't look at like the likes, if like a post does well or not. Even comments at times. Whenever I make a post on Muslim, you know, mashallah, we grew to such a large audience. Every month we're reaching 500 million people across all of our social media monthly, mashallah. And that's a big number to think about, right? That's more than the population of the United States of America. But every single time that we make a post, how I see it is, you know, we formed a big community across the world. We make a post and the comment section acts like a discussion board. So I kind of use that as a way to gauge what the Muslim community and the audience is feeling about particular subjects, particular topics, to always kind of be on the same wavelength as them. So we're always, you know, attached, mashallah. But yeah, it is really heavy. At times, I don't get it right. Sometimes we cover news, and I have to make sure that the framing of news is for the benefit of the greater good for our ummah, because we're up against so much. I'm not sure if you guys even saw what happened yesterday in Amsterdam. In Amsterdam, like these Israeli hooligans, these football fans, created havoc, chaos, ripping Palestine flags, harassing taxi drivers, attacking citizens and Arabs, and chanting death to Arabs. And when the Moroccans, shout out to Morocco, Dima Maghreb, when the Moroccans were fighting back, or Arabs were fighting back, it was highlighted and deemed as anti-Semitic, like wave of anti-Semitism is like attacking Jews in Amsterdam. And it was all the Western and legacy media publications that are like controlling the framing of the situation, when in fact it was the Israeli football fans that were inciting the violence. But somehow they're the victim. And that's what always happens. Israel's always painting themselves as a victim because they have that higher road within legacy and mainstream media publications. So the existence of Muslim is to make sure that the control is in our hands. We're controlling the narrative. We're taking, you know, full control of the narrative to make sure that the truth is being told. So for me, every single time I make a post, I have to make sure, is my headline the correct framing before I hit the submit button, the post button, alhamdulillah.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think before I go to another the speaker, I would like to introduce myself because I only have a couple thousand followers. I should introduce myself more than use. My name is Abdureşid Eminhaji. I am working with my organization, International Union of East Turkestan Organizations. It is umbrella body for Uyghur organizations in Turkey and other countries to helping the Uyghurs for we call it diaspora building process. We have a huge and the diasporas in various countries to keep them together, and also for to bring the justice for my people, doing our civil diplomacy works in many countries. So that's me, Abdureşid. I am the father of 2 daughters and the master degree student. At the same time, with my very wonderful team, a lot of the people living in Turkey and other countries. So I just want to ask another question from Brother Mohamad, the Muslim guy. So what do you think as the person who making funny content? Because once it is like, okay, let me tell you one guess. In 2022, he was coming with Mr. Khaled to the Turkey. I am arranging a conference or panel about Mr. Khaled's book. It is American Islamophobia. I contacted someone that we are arranging a program and this people coming. I want Mohamad and Professor Khaled to have a speech and blah, blah, blah. He said, the Mohamad is that comedian guy? So, okay, so that comedian guy before 7 October, is that the same comedian guy after 7 October? Is there any shifting of your the content, the format and style between this date actually, after and before? What do you think, why you change it, if you change it? And how was the impact and the result?
That's a very deep question. Do we have time for this?
I told you.
And by the way, it's not the Muslim guy, it's that Muslim guy.
Okay.
Anyway. we're
That's
joking
why I
about
told you I should sit far away and then I can use that Muslim guy to you.
Okay. It's a joke he always uses. So it's funny that you say that because when I've done an interview previously with CPA magazine, because I'm a chartered accountant, and the title was That Funny Guy. So it's always comedy that's being used, essentially. But what I try to do, because I did do stand-up comedy for a little while, but I only use stand-up comedy to make jokes with a purpose, whereby there would be a misconception about something, and I would use that, turn it into a joke, and then make a hard-hitting point. And that's essentially what I did with most of my content for the past 7 years or so, up until October 7th. And then, like you said, and it's an interesting observation, there was a little shift. And then it got a lot more serious. Yeah. The comedy skits started to go down, and it started turning a lot more serious. Maybe just a little more sarcasm. But the comedy really sort of died down at that point. And I think it's something that even, I believe Khaled Beydoun said at one time, and that was, we'll never be the same after October 7th. Things will never go back to the way they were, because it changed everybody. And in a way, it changed everybody whereby we all woke up. So, am I the same person who I was before October 7th? I'm the same person with an additional gear now, whereby comedy is great, you can still use that, but you also need to have more gears that you can shift to and use to get the point across, because sometimes you just have to be serious, extremely serious in certain situations. But other than that, that is essentially the shift that happened after October 7th, and that's just part of growth. And if you're not growing as a human being, whether you're creating content or anything else that you do, if you're not growing, then you're not learning.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was also deep answer. Yeah. Thank you so much. So Professor Khaled, let's come to you so you are law professor. And I know that you're criticizing your country very strongly. Sometimes it's I'm feeling that you never can go back to USA. But good thing is USA is very free country to accept everyone. and embrace. So as the one who studied their law and their constitution, the Western justice system and everything, I think we know it from social media, from the far away, from the details, from the movies, a lot of things about the USA. But you know them because you studied their law, you live it there, it's still living, you know the people, the system, and everything. And like after and before 7 October, I think like a lot of things is similar. I think that after 7 October, everything we are witnessing from the Western countries is something actually, it was there, but they just make it more highlighted. It's my point. Maybe you disagree or agree. So as a law professor, after the 7 October, or like if we say relating to me as a Uyghur, after the Uyghurs, like starting from 2016, we're suffering genocide by China. And we have other Muslims, like we have Rohingya Muslims, they're suffering a lot and a lot. There's the Sudanese, Lebanese, and there is a Libya also, there are a lot of problems. And there is something happening in Yemen. Now a lot of people, they're still ignoring, I don't know, intentionally or intentionally, we are forgetting to talk about Syria. A lot of the Muslims, we cannot even count all of them in one time, or sometimes we forget one or two of them, because it is too many problems. So when all this problem is like happening, and what do you think that the Western Constitution, especially the United States Constitution, the law system, the perception of those people about the law, justice, and everything. So how do you think, is that like something that really is something that the people admire, and people can like expect any hope to bring any justice by that? Like, okay, I don't want to just only to criticize that like the USA is bullshit, but I just want to know that what is the deepest problem at the behind as a law professor? What do you think? Like, what is the problem in their law? What is the problem of them, actually? Okay, just answer something that you can go back to US. Okay?
That's a really deep question. So I teach constitutional law. That's one of the primary classes that I teach. If you're a law student in the United States, your first year of law school, you have to take constitutional law. The principles and the virtues in the American Constitution are agreeable, right? They're in many respects, they're universally true. I mean, principles like free exercise of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. Theoretically speaking, the way the laws read on the book are agreeable. However, the issue isn't the way they read or how they're theorized, right? The issue is enforcement of law. And the way the law is enforced in the United States, domestically speaking, is very unequal, right? So the idea that individuals are allocated a specific degree of constitutional protection based on what race they are, based on what religion they are, and you can look at the United States in the last several years to understand that. Ameer brought up the point of black activists, right? The idea that black individuals who are protesting, proclaiming that Black Lives Matter, weren't afforded the same assembly and speech rights as white protesters, right? So it's the enforcement of law that is unequal. And even on a global level, right, the United States is a global superpower which is expected, or it boasts to, have to export and expand democracy on a global scale, and be a bastion or a beacon of human rights. But we see how that's hypocritical and how there's double standards. And I mean, if you look at Ukraine as a juxtaposed case study, right, Ukrainians are fighting for self-determination. They're fighting for sovereignty. You have young Ukrainians throwing Molotov cocktails at Russian tanks who are invading the Ukraine, doing the exact same thing that Palestinians have been doing for decades, right? But when Palestinians are doing it, they're classified as terrorists. When Ukrainians are doing it, right, they're championed and lauded as freedom fighters. So the issue isn't American constitutional principles, because again, the way they read is, again, they're universally applicable and they're not discriminatory on their face. The real issue is the enforcement of American law on a domestic and global scale.
Okay, thank you so much. It was a very great answer. So, okay, my question to you also will be very deep. So sorry, I'm like digging deeper to the questions. Okay, like in my perception, being a Turkish, a Muslim young, in this center, I mean like from the Turkey, I always like feeling that being a Turkish guy, Turkish male or female, a Turkish young, always have very strong obligation. Because a lot of Muslims, whenever any problem happening, they're looking to Istanbul somehow. And also they're looking at the Turkish young to take actions a lot of times. And also a lot of times the Turkish young people, also generation, like it is even, I mean like after the Republic establishment, there is like many years that anything happening to Uyghurs, Central Asia, the Muslims in Chechenistan, in Bosnia, always the Muslim youth movements are the one who always taking the action initiatives and like they are in the streets, right? So I'm feeling that always like being a Turkish young is living in Turkey is always a very hard obligation and hard responsibility. So do you feel something like that? This is like beginning of my question. And the second thing is, you said you started Harmony for fighting against the xenophobia, anti-refugees, and the Syrian people and others so on. I started my life in Turkey from 2016. I know that there is a shifting and a changing in terms of sentiment, discourses, attitudes of the people towards the refugees. Yes, they don't do anything racism against me because I am more Turkic than all other Turkish racist people. So my wolf is bigger than them. But at least like I am feeling that there is this huge thing happening. So do you feel that the Harmony and all other initiatives to fight back this kind of raising sentiment can change and bring that harmony and acceptance of the Turkish people again to this nation? Yeah, that's my question.
Starting with the second one.
Yeah.
The Ameer said like he is reaching every month 500 million people, which is incredible, really. Yeah. Like it's a bless for us. It's great. But he has like 6.4 million people, 2 million people, 2.5 million people nearly follows Khaled. But I can say like if here in this place, if 5,000 people come up and watch me, watch one of us, one of you here, the 5,000 people, it is a lot. I mean, we could feel like we're a pop star. If 5,000 people came here and then listen us. I mean, as like for your stand-ups, I don't think like 5,000 people came or 10,000 people came. I don't know. But in social media, you have an account for 300 people are following. That 300 is very big. I mean, like we are now nearly 50 people. And that 300 is incredibly important as Ameer's account. Because for 300 people, you're making them like believing a boycott. Which is incredible. I mean, it's not, I mean, we are ordinary people. I mean, I said these people are like ordinary people. They're not famous people. They're like, it's a professor. There's there's a stand-up comedian. There's a photographer over there. And it's like we're all ordinary people, not like messy, but all of us, I mean, our reach increased a bit, okay? But all of us have that reach. I mean, if for your question, if now the bad guys on this world are not that much, but they're very organized. They're very organized. I mean, from 9 to 5, they go to the Coca-Cola company. 9 to 5, they pay you a salary to make a badness. I mean, like you are professional bad, okay? But good guys on this earth are not that professional, are not that working that professional. So it's like all of us have a huge impact, like 300 people, 200 people, 2,000 people, 5,000 people, which is amazing. So it's like, it's not, I mean, we shouldn't decrease our effect. So I really believe it, like this much of people when they share, because I go to primary schools, I see like kids, they're making great boycotts, they are like, they're very motivated, they know because the Israel, I think it's like the only good thing from this genocide, we can say, Israel raised millions of people who are angry with them, and like 30 years later, there will be a generation of people who who will, they will really feel backlash, really. So because like they raise a generation, not just in Turkey, also in Denmark, also in Holland, also in Ireland, also in US. They raise a generation who will not buy the argument of Holocaust, who will not buy the argument of this anti-Semitic rhetoric. So they're not going to buy it, as they didn't buy in Holland, as did they. So that's like, I really believe. The first part of it, is it hard to be a Turkish Muslim in Turkey? It is hard because we are also fighting, Turkey is also a very Islamophobic country. I mean, we are maybe one of the biggest, like most Islamophobic country in the world. We are one of them. Because like just 10 years ago, the headscarf ban abolished. I mean, like just 10 years ago, in a country that the millions of people are wearing headscarf. So when you go to social media in Turkey, maybe like 80% of our social media doesn't believe to make boycott because of the very secular people of this country. They're mocking with boycott. They're making fun of with, they don't care about Palestine. They don't want to see it. So it is hard to be here to fight for your rights. Also, we kind of, I think, a bit arrogancy and also feel a bit shame or like guilty on, we were Ottoman Empire, and on our schools and our books, we learned that in Eastern Europe, we were there. In Palestine, we were there. And then we were the one like, if we could be stronger, these things cannot be happen. So a Turkish youngster, as for me, like maybe arrogance, maybe a bit feeling guilty, that if we didn't lose that power, then these things couldn't be done. So it's like I feel also very sorry because I feel very sorry for Bosnia. I feel very sorry for Syria. I feel very sorry for Palestine because I feel like they're really part of my identity. They're really part of my world. Because if you go to Çanakkale, you see the graves from people from Gaza, people from Aleppo, people from Sham, everywhere. People from that Eastern Europe. So it's like, I have that thing too, because we were an ummah before, an ummah empire before. We can do it again, hope so, hopefully. That's why it's like, sorry, yeah, I'm really sorry on that. Not to be strong enough to say and to fight back against Israel or United States or whatever the other hell people. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Brother Belal, I just want to ask one.
US citizen or like one candidate.
Like, if you cannot go back, can they apply citizenship here? What? Don't worry. Okay.
Refugee wherever I go.
Brother Belal, I just want to ask one question that I'm really, really curious. That, like, I'm sorry if it makes you a little bit like feeling sad that, but I just want to ask you. Even like I'm in Turkey and Istanbul, I am living, we have one kind of trauma. I forgot its name because it is too complicated name, but it is about that you are alive, but your people, for example, in East Turkestan, people of East Turkestan, they were suffering genocide. My father sentenced for 5 years. My brothers, my brother, mother, everyone, they went to concentration camp. And we lost a lot of family members. I have no phone call from my father for 7 years. A lot of things happened. So that feeling always sometimes torturing me alive. It torturing also like a lot of my people. I know that when they are living here. So my question is, you were in Gaza, and you said that a lot of journalists had been killed, and they lost their life. You witnessed that a lot and a lot of things. I just want to ask you this thing, one question is, what is the feeling of being alive in Gaza? While others, like, they're losing their life. How was the feeling? And what is in your mind always, like, in that situation?
So I was feeling when I believe actually in the people who are living in Gaza, the people who are witnessing this genocide is like, they are a blessing from Allah Azza wa Jal, because they choose them like to be in this part of the earth. They are the vincing of all of Ummah. We are like fighting against like the whole world. We didn't fight just Israel. No, we're fighting the Israel, US, UK, all of, even the Arabs actually. They support the Israel against this like 2 million of civilian people. Why? Because they don't want like to be it like the Islamic spot who is like defense of Al-Aqsa, of the Ummah, the one who say like no to Israel, the one who like enter to the Israel and at October 7 and do what we did there for them. They don't want to see this picture again because they are afraid of their little baby. This is Israel. So when you be one of the people of Gaza, you feel like you don't have anything to worry about it. Like in this life, everything is in this life is like it's nothing to mean to you, because this is like very fast there. You can like die in 1 second. You can lose your life in 1 minute. So anything it make you stressed, anything it make you like feeling depressed, feeling you sad, put yourself in one of them there, like starving, witnessing like killing every day, didn't found like a house to live in, didn't found like a good like bed to sleep in, didn't found a hospital to get a treatment there. There is no clear water actually. My father is still there. Every time I called him like, did you eat? He said like, Alhamdulillah, but I'm sure like he didn't, he have nothing, because there is nothing. They cook just like, sometimes they cook always rice, just the rice. They don't have like any kind of vegetables, any kind of fruits, any kind of the food. So, but they are very happy. They are like more than us comfortable, and more than us outside, like feeling we are safe even if it's a war. Ask anyone in Gaza, he told you even if it's a war in Gaza, but we feel safe because Allah Azza wa Jal, He's protecting us. He putting sakina in our like souls. He giving us sabr for what we are living. And this is, you can figure it when you saw like a mother, she lost the whole family and saying Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal. Look how many people enter to Islam after what they are watching from Gaza. Because this is, if I think if it's happened in another area, maybe the people they will rethink about like the existence of God or something like this, because they will not handle this. They will not believe this has happened. But in Gaza, it's different. The people, they are praying 5 times above the rebels. Actually, there is no mosque in Gaza, but the people keep like praying every day. My father, he's imam. He's like going above the rebels of our houses and using a small speaker to raise the adhan in our neighborhood. So this is give you a picture of how we are connected to Allah Azza wa Jal, and how we have our faith, even if we paid like a lot of martyrs. Like now we are more than 50,000 people killed in Gaza, but we still like believe in the victory. Allah Azza wa Jal, He promised us.
Really, like from looking from this part, from Turkey, from everywhere, we envy a lot. Because after everything, after every martyr, Palestinian, but Gaza, because I want to, I want to have that to my body, because it's like you're the people in Gaza right now are like the Sahabes of this world. I mean, I've seen that Sahabes can be real. So it's like, because they are there. I see those people over there. So like, mashallah to you. So that's why like I want.
So I believe that Allah Azza wa Jal, as He put the pain in this area, He's put the sabr also in the same. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, إِنَّمَا يُوَفَّى الصَّابِرُونَ أَجْرَهُم بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. And all of people in Gaza, as I said, they are very connected to Allah Azza wa Jal. And if you believe of the promise of God, this is like وَيَتَّخِذَ مِنْكُمْ شُهَدَاء, He said, الَّذِينَ أُخْرِجُوا مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ وَأَمْوَالِهِمْ. Allah Azza wa Jal, He wants this. He wants us like to pay from our blood, from our houses, from our children, from our everything. Why? Because this is the cost of the how the people will see the Islam going all around the world. How this is like for victory of Palestine also. And it's a subhanallah Azza wa Jal, it's a miracle, like you said. Even us in Gaza, we cannot know how is this happen, but of course we believe this because we still connected to Allah, even if it's in a hard situation. Allah is like making it easy for us.
Thank you so much. So I just want to give the chances for another 1 hour to the audience, whoever want to ask any question. I just want to make it something more interactive, right? I don't want to make something very boring, but like after we listened to the brother Belal, it was like very deep. And I think I accidentally asked very deep questions from everyone to make the situation like the environment here very very silent. But actually, like what we are talking about, everything, even sometimes when I am like making joke or fun and everything, as the Muhammad said, really like this world was like nothing to do laugh at. So like nothing left, and then we cannot like actually, in this situation, sometimes I'm really telling myself that we are living very such like beep world. So I just beeping myself to not saying any bad words. So this world is like really like let us suffering, let a lot of people suffering, and we cannot do anything to change it. But sometimes also I'm seeing like very beautiful, the beautiful sides of this world. Especially the people like besides me, when they sacrifices their time, their ability, their life. I think even like, don't think that Professor Khaled, he's living in USA, that's why he didn't suffer, or Mohamad living in Canada, he didn't suffer, or Ameer. Actually, a lot of us, always when they are raising or stand against anything injustice in this world, they always sacrifices a lot of things. Actually, they gain it before. This is the way actually to make this world better. So yeah, I think like what we learned after 7 October, or what we learned after we started to helping the Uyghurs, helping the Sudanese, helping the Gazan people, Palestinian, Syrian, and everyone in this world were fighting against injustice by surviving sometimes. They're fighting against injustice. Only, like there's a lot of Muslims actually, they're fighting against injustice because they're only surviving, because that's only the ability they have. So I think what we learned is that we learned something that we can help each other as a Muslims around the world. It's a new format and more stronger format of the Muslim solidarity. That's my belief. So it is your time. Just please, I think like this hall is very special. You stand up and talk. I think we don't need mic. Just I need you to be very like not noisy, like loud, to let us to hear you. And then anyone you want to ask question, and then yeah, let's start like that. So anyone who want to ask the first question? Please, guys, someone just stand up. Yeah, please, Mr. Durali. He's one of the very, yeah.
Thank you very much. My question is to our professor. Some of our speakers are also from America. Therefore, my question will be related to America. As you know, Trump came to power in America. There can be any change with the coming of Trump to power. Okay, thank you very much.
I will give.
Okay. What was the question? The question is, Trump came to power, and what will happen? I mean, what will happen to for Palestine, for world, or like any policy change? What's your like?
Yeah, as a USA, why you elected Trump again?
So, you know, it's hard to gauge, I think, but it's important. I think precedent provides like possible foreshadowing for what might come. Remember that Trump was the champion of the Abraham Accords before the genocide in Gaza. And Belal mentioned something very important. He said that many Arab countries are also invested in the decimation of Gaza. It's critical to understand that many of these Arab countries, including the UAE, including Bahrain, including Morocco, including Jordan, right, are complicit in these Abraham Accords that Trump set up the architecture for during his first presidency. So I think going ahead, my vision is, I think there's a strong possibility that Trump might slow down the sort of genocidal violence that we've seen for the last 400 days, but it's going to be a springboard towards, I think, a more nefarious sort of stage in front of ethnic cleansing and apartheid and genocide in Gaza, because he's going to reintroduce and probably intensify these Abraham Accords. There's a lot of important moving parts, right? I'm Lebanese. I've lost several family members over these last several weeks in Lebanon. What's happening in the south of Lebanon is an important domino, because Israel and the United States are hoping to destroy Hezbollah, largely to install a client government in Lebanon which will subscribe to the Abraham Accords. And if that goes according to plan, which it won't, because Hezbollah is doing a valiant job in South Lebanon, thankfully. But if they do, if they are victorious, that opens the door toward possible regime change in Syria, right? Because their central objective is to destroy this Shia crescent that goes from Iran all the way into Lebanon as a way then to, reinstall and expand the Abraham Accords. So again, I think the short-term sort of positive is that Trump being mercurial might stop the genocidal violence as we've seen it for these last 400 days. But again, it opens the door for the reintroduction, re-expansion of the Abraham Accords, in my opinion.
Yeah, if I can add to that too, as also a fellow American. It's really interesting that this time around, when Trump was first elected in 2016, I remember the day very well because it was just gloom. Everyone was depressed. Everyone was like, oh my God, so much is about to change and shake up. And this time around, what I noticed, especially from Muslim Americans, when Trump was elected, it was just look at the phone, Trump got elected, it's like, okay, right? On a hopeful note though, during Trump's reign in 2016, in those 4 years, it created a push across the entire United States for mobilization, for a lot of different grassroots organizations, for people to kind of get their ish together. So if it weren't for Trump's presidency in 2016, I'm just saying this as a hopeful note, right? Not endorsing Trump or anything like that, but we wouldn't have had progressive politicians in office if it weren't for a Trump presidency, because it mobilized so many people to seek change, right? We have AOC, we have Cori Bush, all these prominent people in the implementation of things like the Green New Deal for climate change. All of those initiatives would not have had such a strong start if it weren't for Trump kind of putting this fear onto the American population. So it's kind of like a rubber band. In the last 4 years, the Democratic Party kind of got comfortable with how things were going in the US, that it kind of like rescinding, right? What was seen to be a progressive party aligning with like progressive values started leaning more and more and more, you know, Republican, conservative, and harming, you know, all communities. So now I feel hopeful in the fact that this, you know, shakeup is probably going to lead to a lot more action and fire under a lot of like organizers to want to get change and implement change across the US.
Thank you so much. I think someone can like help us with the mic. Yeah. Thank you. So don't bring back the mic. I will give mine to the speakers. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. My question is for Professor Khaled. Ever since the war in Gaza, the genocide had started, the censorship in social media has been very brutal. And there's been many people, including myself, we've been doing activism through social media for years. But now suddenly when we start talking about Palestine, it's shadow ban and deactivation notices, all these things. And in such situations, it is a big moral hit. You know, you start losing hope. You're like, okay, this is not working. I'm just going to go on the streets and do something else and give up on social media. So where do you think the future is when it comes to social media activism and when it comes to raising awareness about these issues through social media?
You know, so ironically enough, I think for me, because I was really vocal on Hindutva supremacy in India, before the genocide in Gaza, my page, including Twitter actually, when I was active on Twitter, faced a lot of shadow banning and censorship in previous years. So I was kind of primed for what happened after October 7th with this new sort of, dragnet of censorship taking place online. But look, the reality is, and I'm sure, the colleagues up here on stage can echo and, expand on this sentiment is, look, it's critical to understand that these big tech corporations are by no means neutral or objective, right? Specifically Meta, and specifically, tentacles of Meta, including Instagram, right? I've written, and other people have written about Cyber Unit 8200, which is a surveillance arm of the IDF, of the Israeli army, that has a direct line to Instagram, right? They can tell people at Instagram, hey, watch out for Belal's page and make sure that Belal's photos aren't being viewed by millions beyond Gaza. Watch out for Muslim, right? We don't want Muslim to talk about what's taking place on the ground in Gaza and what these protesters across college campuses in the United States are talking about. So the reality is, and I tell young people this all the time, is social media, like life, is not fair. To expect fairness from these big tech conglomerates that are inherently Zionist, right, is to lead with the wrong presumption. And after you have that acknowledgement, you can move on to the second step and learn how to circumvent and be agile on these social media platforms so not to trigger the censorship, so not to trigger the algorithmic biases that are taking place. And that's what many of us have tried to do over the course of these last 13 months.
Yeah.
And just one thing that I can add to that, just because I've seen that as well firsthand, from the censorship to the shadow bans to suddenly pages with 2 million followers getting deleted just like that, as we know with like Sean, for example. And it is very easy to just lose hope. And the amount of times where I'd go to a rally, for example, so forget social media, you go to a rally, at first it's 1,000 people, then you go again, and then it's 500 people, then you go again, it's 200 people, then you go again, then it's 50, then it's 20, and you're like, what's the point? Let me just leave. The point is that we need to do whatever's within our capability. The results are not in our hands. How many Muslims do we have here, by show of hands? How many Muslims? Allah will hold us accountable for whatever is within our capability. So when we look at it and say, oh, the results aren't there, I'm sharing and I'm censored, so what's the point? As Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها. Allah will not hold you accountable for more than the power or the resources or whatever Allah has given you. But what has Allah given you the capability to do? Whatever is within your capability, each and every single one of us will be held accountable for that on the day of judgment. So if I can post and I'm shadow banned and only 30 people see it, I am doing what's within my capability. If I go to a rally, only 50 people show up, I am going and doing what's within my capability. And finally, I'll end with this. Why do they censor you? Why do they censor Professor Khaled? Why do they censor me? Why do they censor Belal? Because it's working. They wouldn't censor us if our voices weren't working. Why is BDS illegal in so many states? Because they're afraid of it. Because boycotts and divestments brought down what? Apartheid South Africa. Could it bring down apartheid Israel? Absolutely. They're afraid of it. So if you stop posting, if we stop posting because they shadow banned us, because they censored us, then they won. But if we adapt, just like Professor Khaled said, we get smarter, we learn how to not trigger the algorithm, we learn how to work around it and persevere through it, that is the only way we will win. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but in the near future, inshallah.
So anyone want to add about your experience of censorship or? Okay, so I think you face it a lot, right?
Yeah. Alhamdulillah, like it's a lot of trial and error, actually. Like even in like for instance, there was like a report that was done by The Intercept that like revealed Instagram has a whole entire director of social policy of Israel, right? So they have like an Israeli representative that has a senior position at Meta that controls like the narrative of Israel across Instagram and Meta. And in that report, Muslim was included because on October 1st, when the Iran strikes took place against Israel, I got like a huge wave of, when we broke the breaking news immediately, I got a huge wave of text messages, emails, DMs, people being like, what just happened? We can't access Muslim in Canada. And the report revealed that during October 1st, the policy director made sure to implement a widespread censorship on mass pages from covering the Iran, missile strikes that took place in Israel. So for a Muslim, subhanAllah, like, alhamdulillah as well, we've always been like a partner and publisher at Meta. We spearhead their Ramadan campaigns. We have like a rep. We're deemed as a publisher, a news publisher. Anytime that I have issues with, the Muslim account or any of our accounts, and for instance, like, even Khaled knows, like, our Muslim news account got like taken down like so many times. But then I always know that like by tomorrow it's going to be back up because we have that access, alhamdulillah, to Meta, that they'll just reinstate it. Even Hindutva, like, which is really crazy. It's not like, I have Zionists attacking me, but I got Hindutva making Telegram groups to try to get our account banned. There's so many different layers to this. I digress, It is unfair. When we see engagement go down, what we do at Muslim, because mashallah, like, we have a wide range of type of content that we publish. Right now, you're seeing a lot of like Gaza coverage because that's, of course, the priority right now. But when I see that our views go down, I will post like an Islamic reminder. I'll post like a photo at Mecca. I'll post like a quote. Immediately, the engagement shoots back up, and like it's a lot of trial and error. In Muslim, we post 3 times a day on Instagram. We post twice a day on TikTok. Our TikTok, we have like 3.5 million followers, I think, alhamdulillah. We're across all social medias. So we're always posting, and I think because we're consistent every single day, and we have like set times and we're pushing it, we kind of are expecting that our engagement, it doesn't get affected by algorithm as much. But again, it's a lot of trial and error because sometimes I would censor words, right? Because keywords would trigger censorship, such as Gaza. Actually, I was just talking to Mohamad earlier today because I was telling him what's difficult on my platform when talking about Uyghur genocide is whenever I use the word Uyghur, I honestly see the most intense censorship, even much more than Palestine. Mentioning the word Uyghur in a caption, even, with the tools of AI that Meta and Instagram is using, even if you include the word Palestine, Gaza, Uyghur, Afghanistan, Iran in the text of the post, not in the caption, in the text of the post, it analyzes and scans it and knows that it was included, so they know that they're going to suppress that content further. So the workaround of what I do is, you know, and I implore you guys to like look at the Muslim Instagram accounts after, because then you'll like start noticing. When I use the word Gaza, when I use these trigger words like genocide, I do it, you know, I use Canva, Photoshop, but then afterwards I take like the marker tool and I just do like a small tiny line like on like a letter A or Z in Gaza or something like this. So like when AI tries to scan the news post, they can't read Gaza, they see like Gaz, and then like the A has like a little tiny like line, so it can't like, you know, detect it as an A. So it's crazy that we have to go this length to like make sure our posts are being reached. But for Muslim and for me, I did a lot of trial and error, even like including flags, right? Like I would, instead of like in a news post, I would put Palestine or Palestine, I would just put the Palestine flag. In the caption, I wouldn't even mention Palestine or Gaza because I'm just like, it's self-explanatory. And I know that if I mention those keywords, the post is gonna get flagged. So sometimes you kind of have to like choose your battles in terms of like when it's important or appropriate for you to be using certain keywords. Sometimes I trick the algorithm and I am like, Israeli, 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 Israel, because I know like, you know, Israeli content is probably like uplifted and amplified as people have been telling me that they see Israeli content. Someone landed in America and they're like, my feed became all Israeli content. So sometimes I would be like, oh, Israeli strike on da-da-da-da, not mentioning Gaza, not mentioning Khan Younis, not mentioning anything of these keywords because by just having Israel and then like strike, you know, the message will still reach the recipients without it being censored. And I don't mean to take up time, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. It was very meaningful and useful, like the suggestions. Yeah, any other questions? I think, yeah. So you're making Meta AI more flower versus
Hello, assalamu alaikum. And my question is that, you know, as Mr. Yavuz mentioned, the bad guys are professional at their work and they're like doing this professionally. And what is our job? What is our program? Like, what should we do about it? What, like, how can we be more professional at being good? And because like all of these wars and this censorship is happening because we're not powerful enough. We don't have this access to you know, media, and we were talking back like media is, you know, power of the media is a real thing. And like how should we do, like what should we do about it and what is our program? Like, for example, because like India, I want to know things about India, like I want to know like what's happening in them, like I don't have access to them because the media is not showing them to me. And like, to sum up, like my question is that what should we do about it? What is our program? What is our program to unify? Because I think that we should unify because we are separated, like all of these things are happening to us. So what is our program in this? What is our duty for being united as this, I don't want to say Middle East because I think this term is coined by Englishmen to determine their geographical thing. Like we can say this geography, post-Ottoman geography, like what should we do about being united as all of the Muslims? So yeah, thank you so much.
Who you want to ask this question for?
It's in general, like whoever wants to...
Okay. Actually, he mentioned about the post-Ottoman territory. You should talk about it. But I think there is one question, like in the beginning, he said that the bad guys are unprofessional. And when it comes to us that we are the one who are fighting against it, actually it is the framing that the Yavuz just give us, actually. So, Brother Belal, can you talk about us, like about this, actually? You said when you were in Gaza, still it is the same that fighting against the whole world. United, professional, like a very big, like how I can say, like defense system, jets and everything. So do you think like, yes, we always, like, comparison is showing that we have less power, less capacity, a lot and a lot. And what do you think, like, when you are thinking that whole world, and also at least like the Israeli army also has enough, like, professional and powerful, a lot of things in terms of the army, I mean that. So as a journalist there, and like along other journalists, as a people there, and as the other people, like the civil defense, or the group, the hospitals, the doctors, everyone is actually, everyone has not completed, like, occupied, like they lost everything, but they're still struggling. So what do you think about that? The bad guys united, like they're strong professionals, and the good guys fighting back with minor the capacities. Yeah, what do you want to say about that?
I can say there is a question like why they are keep like fighting those people even if they have like this power, they have this like defense system, this technology. Why they didn't, like, it's more than 1 year now, and what's the result? What they got the result? They're fighting the civilians. This is the first war. I think it's against the civilians. More than 50,000 people, more than like 10,000 people are missing also. Did they take like what they say it like it's a war goals, like the hostages? Did they like kill the resistance, the fighters there? Did they stop the rockets? They don't. And I'm always like say all of the people, they are like scared to enter to throw a stone against Israel, not a rocket actually. But when Gaza started it in October 7, it's showing to all the world it's very weak. It's not a country actually. How can I say Kayan? It's like it's very weak. Like, you know, the spider house. It's like it's very weak. Allah Azza wa Jal say in Al-Quran, "Udkhulu alayhim al-bab." Just enter the door, and if you entered, you will win. This is like Allah Azza wa Jal what promised. So after all of this, now doctors, they don't have like a food to eat. They don't have like a place to live in, or like they don't have anything. Journalists, civilians, all of people, but they are standing. They don't get tired, and this is like everyone should ask himself, like, if I tired of talking about Palestine, posting, what should I say about the people there? They keep like killing, they keep like suffering there. So there is no excuse for us like to keep protesting, to keep like posting about Palestine. And actually it's not enough if I say like, oh, I posted about Palestine, I talk about it. No, we can do a lot. We can do more of this. It deserves all of things, to lose all of things, to stop your brothers killing in Gaza. So I'm sure like there is always more to do. Like we cannot like say posting is enough, or like protesting is enough, or I donated for Gaza, something like this. No, we want to stay fighting. We want to stay pushing until like we can go into the streets. We can like go into the protest in front of the embassies. We didn't leave until this end. If like thousand and thousand and thousand, it's started from one. Always the millions started from one. If the one who believe on this idea and take the risk on behalf of like for his brothers in Gaza, it will be already. And we saw like how the student in America, in Yemen, every Friday they go like 1 million in the street in Yemen also. Why we didn't have this in Turkey? Why we didn't have this in Qatar, in Egypt, in all of Arab country and Islamic country? I don't know. Yani, maybe the people, they are like get it as a usual now. They used to watch this, and they it's became like a normal thing to watch the news, seeing like the kids like they are like a pieces, seeing like the woman screaming, looking for like their child, and no one care. They just like scroll their social media. Oh, hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. And then he opened the application, he ordered his food, he watching Netflix, continue his life. No, it shouldn't be happy. We shouldn't use like the killing or the blood of our brothers there.
If I can add also to this, you know, Brother Belal brought up amazing points about like, why aren't we, you know, protesting? Why aren't we posting? And it's not enough donating. I was having this conversation the other day with a mentor of mine after reflections of this issue of, you know, why isn't everyone doing enough? Why it feels like no one is doing enough? And what I came to the realization was every single person has like a role to play, a greater picture to play. And the analogy that I use is the Muslim Ummah is like a puzzle. And everyone in here is a piece of that puzzle. You know, for me, my role is media. I know that my role is to be an amplifier, to bring virality, to bring attention to Gaza, to news that impacts the Muslim community. Brother Mohamad here works with a nonprofit organization called Droplets of Mercy, right? They do a lot of humanitarian aid and, you know, work. They use the attention that Muslim is bringing to Gaza to now do humanitarian work in those places. It could be Gaza or like Muslim countries. You have people, grassroots organizations like CARE that is on the grounds, that is fighting for the rights of like Muslims, you know, anti-Islamic hate crimes and so on. You have Khaled Beydoun, who's like a lawyer, right, fighting for, you know, the rights of Muslims and so on and so on. But even if you are, let's say, a chef, if you're a barista, if you're an athlete, if you are in a space, you have a role to play in that space, whatever your expertise is. You know, you could be an artist using that art for something. If you are an athlete using that position for something, it could be something as small as implementing, you know, like something locally as well, right? Like local elections, right? You see something go wrong, that someone has something vocal to say. It could be something so small where it's like someone that has a position of authority that doesn't even matter. It could be like a manager at Starbucks and you work at Starbucks, or not Starbucks, like a different coffee shop, right? Like that manager said something problematic about, you know, Palestine. You make that report to get them out of there because that's an unsafe environment. Something as small as this, right? That is a crucial part and piece in this. So you don't need to have a following on social media. You have to reflect and have an outlook of like, what can I do? What is at my capabilities? What is my capacity? And how can I use where I'm currently at to help, whether it's Palestine or for any cause that you care so deeply about? And I just want to leave that, you know, analogy, because honestly, it sticks with me everywhere I go, where I also make sure that I don't cross my puzzle. You know, I'm a puzzle piece, you're a puzzle piece, everyone's a puzzle piece. I know that I am the amplifier and I cover news. I'm not going to be stepping on and crossing borders of like other puzzle pieces. So you kind of like just have to hone in and be like, this is like my role, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm passionate about, and then use that expertise.
And just one final point, and I love what both of you said, and especially the ummatic vision, and then we're all pieces of a puzzle that make this ummah, right? That is a very, very good figure of speech. I love that. What I've heard this at a previous event, and it was the last time we were in Turkey with Professor Khaled as well, and someone asked a similar question, and it was about, okay, we're doing protests, we're doing this, we're doing that, what else can we do? And the question was about also how they are professional bad guys. How can we be professional good guys, for example? And Brother Belal talked about the technology, for example, the disadvantage that Palestinians and many other oppressed people are at. Protests, boycotts, all these things are a great start. but it's not the final solution. And that's something Professor Khaled Beydoun also said in a previous event. It needs to be accompanied with action, more long-term actions and visions. So many times, even as a Palestinian, I hear, oh, well, Zionists have AIPAC. Yes, they do. Good for them. Where's the Muslim AIPAC? MPAC, or whatever we want to call it. Where are Muslim lobby groups? Oh, so they have so many lawyers, and Zionists will go and attack protesters. And they don't even do any jail time because all the lawyers. Where are the Muslim lawyers, the coalition of Muslim lawyers? Oh, we don't have any. Oh, then that's something we should be working on. Are you a law student? Yes, I am. Do you want to become a partner at a law firm? Yes, I do. Okay, so if we have a new generation of Muslim lawyers who are becoming lawyers, not because I want to become a millionaire, but because I want to use my law skills to benefit this ummah. I want to become an accountant. I want to work in finance. Why? So then I can introduce Islamic financing into Canada, into the United States, into these countries that don't have it or it's very limited in supply. So you have partners at these firms. You have coalitions being set. So now when you stand up for your rights, what happens? You get arrested. Well, you have a coalition of Muslim lawyers who have your back. You have politicians who are not afraid of the Muslim vote because they know Muslims are just going to vote for the lesser evil and we can't drown or take down a single candidate. Well, now you have Muslim lobbies who will hold politicians accountable. That is what we need to do slowly but surely and build up those partnerships and coalitions. Now, you might say, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, what do I do? Well, if you're not a lawyer, you're not an accountant, you're not in law enforcement, you're not this, you're not that, what are you? I love public speaking. Great. Use that. I like writing. Great. Use that. I'm an athlete. Great. Use that and find a way to use it for the benefit of the ummah. And that's why it's very subjective, but use what you have, what Allah has given you for the benefit of the ummah. I hope that helps answer the question as well.
Okay, so I just want to ask Yavuz, because he is the founder of that professional bet, the terminology, and also like, what do you think, like, for answering that question, that while the baddies are too professional, and how the good can be the professional again? And as Abdureşid at Uyghur, I am fighting against very professional, bad red dragon China, right? Sometimes people asking me, I'm liberating East Turkestan, say, Abdureşid, the China is too big and too strong, how you can liberate East Turkestan? It's a huge part of like the map, like from China. I said, yeah, I'm starting. The first of all, like, you recognize me and a lot of things. So I just want to ask you, so you also like from the Turkey, where is the origin of the legacy of Ottoman Empire, which is like centuries of professional goodness in the Muslim history. Okay, so how we can reach professional goodness?
Couple of things. Firstly, we are a bit short-sighted. We think like, we want to see right now. I mean, it will happen right now. But when you look at that, this Zionist people, they started 200 years ago. They started like 500 years ago. But like last 200 years ago, they like spread their word. They found their like Zionism ideology, which is created by an atheist person, which is very funny on that. But it's like, we want to see just right now. One of my scholars said, maybe you are the one who will raise the children, which will raise the children, which will raise the other children who will bring peace to the ummah. So you are like, as Ameer said, we are like maybe the small puzzle of it, but like maybe we will raise that generation. And my daughter will be much more stronger than I do. But it's like, we want to see it as human. We want to see it just right now. And we suffer from what we see in Gaza. And then we say like, okay, I want to change it. But it's like, they didn't start it today. I mean, they didn't start it. AIPAC they didn't create AIPAC 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's like they created that money. They created that organization. And now when they do think, 58 times, that's like, that is the craziest number, I think, for America, for United States. 58 times, US Congress members applauded Benjamin Netanyahu on food. I mean, you feel ashamed, like 58 times. If you like stand up and then like applaud me, then I will like, okay, don't do it. So 58 times. So then it's like those people are being sold, they've been bought, centuries. So it's like we want to do it so very quickly. So as I totally agree with Ameer and Mohamad and Belal about saying that I have like a small impact, so I will do it. So that's my job. One of Turkish scholars said, I will say it in Turkish and then translate it. Bir adam bir taş aldı, bir cam kırdı desinler. He says that a man took a stone and then broke a window. So let's start with that. I mean, let's be angry with that. So for me, we need to start with a dava, with a dert. Turkish people, I can say, they are sad. They don't have a dava. They don't have a dert. It's different. Dava and being sorry is different, because if you're sorry and then you're pity. But if you have a dava, if you have dert, it's like, I don't know in English what is dert. It's like dava. It's your cause. So if you have that cause, if really Palestine really upsets you, then you need to ask a question that how can I solve it? Or why they are that strong? Then you will learn about capitalism. Then you will learn about democracy, how democracy works in the United States, because how Israel bought that much of people. So you're going to learn, and then you're going to learn about socialism. You're going to learn about Middle East history, because you have a dawa, you have a dert. So you put that dawa to anything that you work. If you're a writer, you have the dawa, and then you put it there. But if you're sorry, that's like, okay, what a pity to you. So, but it's like being sorry is not for Muslim community right now. We need a dawah, and for that dawah, as they said, if you're a stand-up comedian, you use it. If you're a journalist, you use it. If you're a professor, you use it. Because, I mean, he can live a very peaceful life in the United States. He doesn't need that much of hate from society, like from the people, from Indian people, like people from India, they attack him. People from China, they attack him. I mean, he doesn't need to do that. I mean, he can say, he can go to class, and then he became like a good, maybe he can take a Nobel Prize for things that he wrote. But it's not what we should do. So that's why I say it like, if you have a dawah, then you ask the question how. But if you don't have the dawah, you don't ask the question how and why. So for me, it's like, you should start with that. Then that dawah will push you to learn more things, to create environment, to have more talent. Because why should I become a good public speaker? Because I have a dawah. Why should I be good writer? Because I have a dawah. That's bigger than me. That's bigger than my laziness. That's bigger than my procrastination. If you have that dawah, you don't get depression. Why? Because you think like, this weekend, I need to be here. You forget yourself. I mean, those people, I mean, what a crazy man. I mean, 6th of October, he go from Doha to Gaza. So like, I mean, it's not normal, right? But if he has a dawah, that's why he goes there. That's why he lives. I mean, and when he dies like a man. He dies like a real person. He dies like a real shaheed. So it's like that spirit we need. That spirit which brought him to Gaza, the 6th of October, that's the spirit we need. If you have that dawah, if you have that spirit, then things will be resolved, I think.
Thank you so much. So, last two questions. Oh my God, last four questions. Maybe we take everything and then like answer? Yeah. give the ladies why you always giving the boys. Yeah.
Okay, salam alaikum. I was willing to, for your question, I feel when we speak about ummah, it's really nice in words, but the puzzle, we are members all, we are all great, we are doing things, but how do we convert this kind of puzzle, the pieces of the puzzle, in the real action that you were speaking about, right? So, for example, I feel we need more collaborations, as we are seeing in social media. It's a powerful tool to avoid shadow banning. Collaboration, 1, 2, 3 persons post together, so they push up and they kind of reach more people, right? So I think we need to start doing things. Actually, we have simple examples in the grassroots movements where 1, 2, 3, 4 people, different skills, they come around, they come together, and they started thinking, what can we do? It's something really, really simple. We all can do something. What I feel the Israelis, they want to do is to silence us, of course, as we all know. They want to make us disappear, and they want to affect our kind of vision of hope and vision of future. And we are Muslims. We don't have. There is no. It's not an. There is no end in reality. This dunya is dunya, and what's this happening? It's happening in here, but it has a bigger. We have to have a bigger vision, the bigger, the long-term vision, because this is dunya. What is happening here, the injustice. Netanyahu cannot go okay, he dies, okay, nice. My non-Muslim friends, I'm from Spain. I have people from Spain telling me, oh, we're so grateful. Gazan people, Palestinian people are Muslims. Non-Muslim people telling me they are happy to see that Palestinians are Muslims because they are Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, they alhamdulillah, because they have this wider vision that I think they are teaching us. So let's have this wider vision in reality, long term. It's the ummatic thingy. It cannot come without the akhirah perspective, without the rahmah perspective, because Allah is rahim with all of us, every single one of us, whatever we are doing. We also have to embrace the rahmah that I feel Israelis are kind of touching upon us with guilt, and the guilt is really Judeo-Christian culture. That in Islam there is no, we don't have guilt as our core value. We have rahmah as our core value, and we have to be also applying this rahmah towards us and toward the others. Because I feel as an ummah, we're being so harsh. We are being caught in the trap of Israelis that they want to kill the rahmah perspective, and this is really important. We are rahmah, Rahman Rahim all the time, and this is our way of resistance. Keep pushing, collaborating, ummatic perspective, doing things like this. Let's embrace our values as Muslims and as humans, because non-Muslims, for them, we are at the end a qudwa, a reference. So my question is, what are, we can say, ways of resistance towards this kind of, because for me it's really tricky how they are manipulating us in terms of they want to kill the hope, of course. They want to silence us. They want to make us feel that the boycott is not working, that our words are not working. It's 1 year, and we are tired. How can we resist this tiredness? If you can give some kind of advices, yeah. Thank you.
MashaAllah. We all need to clap for that. MashaAllah. Very beautiful, beautifully put. Collaboration actually is the key. And actually who just spoke, her name is Fatima, mashallah. She works at TRT Español that just launched. And I actually get inspired by Fatima a lot. And I bring her up as an example as someone who facilitates collaboration, because I met Fatima when I was pulled in. I was in town in Istanbul, and it's a group of kids that had the same exact notion of what can we do for Gaza? How can we help for Gaza? So they all came together. It took Fatima and a group with Mazar and all these people to come together to be we need to come together, strategize, and organize. And that was the key to collaboration. And so they created a collective called the No Collective, mashallah. It's really prominent. People like Omar Suleiman is the ambassador spearheading the campaign. Prominent people like Riyad Minty, the founder of AJ Plus, and the former director at TRT, leading it with these group of kids that just grew and grew and grew, and it became volunteers. And it all started because it was people that were like, what can I do? What position of power do I have to do something for Gaza? So I always bring up No Collective as an example because I'm like, these people in Turkey, whether it's like the not being capable of speaking publicly, they were able to be like, what can I do with like my capacity here in Turkey? Organize. They make infographics on a daily basis. They make videos on a daily basis. They make a whole entire campaign. Everyone is a volunteer, devoting it to like a specific task, whether it's social media. And I say all of this because it starts with one person. It starts with one person, and most likely everyone in this room, probably shares like the same mutual idea, vision, and goal. You find the people that have that similar passion and goals in mind, and that's where you work together. You come together, you work, and you collaborate. And Belal sits with me, and I'm so excited to be sitting next to him because me and Belal have been, in contact for so long throughout, Gaza, and we collaborate, right? I know my role as the amplifier, right? So I told Belal, I was like, look, I am here for you. Any single time that you publish a photo online while you're in Gaza, send me a collab invite on Muslim so we can make sure that it get reached to the masses. And so every single day I would look forward to a DM from Belal that's like a collaboration invite, and we amplify because that's what we should be doing as an ummah. We got to put that into effect, So seeing him in person, I'm like, oh my God, alhamdulillah, you're here. My brother, mashallah.
Okay, we are out of time. Maybe like we all take all the questions and answer, please, one by one.
My question is especially for Khaled, Mr. Khaled, and also Mr. Belal. But I want to share a reality actually right now, why we are talking here. There is a ship called Catherine, and was banned by Namibia because it was carrying RDX from IMI systems, and also was banned by Malta from its water. 3rd November, unfortunately, it was docked in Istanbul, and Turkish government accept this. And why these countries which are not Muslim countries, Malta, also Namibia, we know, Portugal withdrew its flag from this ship, and that's why Germany gave its flag to this ship. And right now, this ship still is in Turkey. We protested, we went there. Istanbul is 60 million people. We are here, and we were minority groups there, and there are lots of pro-Palestine people. Even the government say that we stand by Palestine. Then what is the action? Where are the actions? Because it's conflicting. I criticize the hypocrisy in this case. And right now it's go to Çanakkale port. I want to ask you, that's why in terms of law and also in perspective of a Gazan person, I'm very sorry for this. I don't know what I can say because I don't want to see that my country is also contribute to this genocide by saying we are support Palestine, but acting like we don't support. We also sell weapons. For example, in defense fair, there was a defense fair 2 weeks ago something, and BAE Systems come to here as a participant, and nobody say anything. And the police was against us. why we are saying the truth. I want to ask you, what is your opinion for this? No, okay, I don't say hypocrisy. But yeah, what's your opinion in this case? Because I feel sad to make you disappointed for my country and also for other Islamic countries.
Okay, so it is like a very strong question. Do you want to answer now or want to take other questions first?
So thank you for this question, and thank you for your caring about this, like little details about supporting of Palestine. For my opinion, personally, I shared the video when the Turkish police, they attacked like the supporter of Palestine, and they like pushed them out of this ship when they like protesting there. And there is no excuse for any way to any government, even if I am in Turkey, even if it's the Turkish government. And I wish like I hear like a speech from a Turkey to say why they accept this ship actually, because the Spain they refused it, like Malta they rejected. And if we are forget like Mavi Marmara and how we can accept this ship in our land here, if we are like saying we are one ummah, if we are saying we are like supporting Palestine, the small thing is that it's hurting us as a people of Gaza. When we saw like someone as an Egypt also, they allowed like to the military Israel ship to cross the Suez Canal also in front of their eyes, and they are our neighbors also, the Egypt. So these actions, it's hard a lot for us in Gaza, and it didn't give any excuse for anyone, any responsible of this action. This is like, it's like cheating of us, of our cases. At least if you want to accept it for like to protect your politics between you, between any government, at least you need like to let the people to say their word, to raise their voice against it without any violence. So that's my answer.
We already like 9 p.m. Should we extend 10 minutes or?
Just one more question.
One more question. Lady, yeah.
And we're going to be here so like we can contact with people. So we're not going to, after the event, like we're not going to disappear.
Yeah. Let's ask the masjid if they kick us out after like, no. Okay, then it's good. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. My question is that, so you are all on Instagram, right? And you're using that platform. I see that, and I can understand that you're reaching a lot of people, but I think this is our general problem, that we lack public spheres nowadays. So do you really think that Instagram is interactive enough, or would you like to consider different platforms, like, I don't know, maybe Twitch, where you can be just like one-on-one with people? Because I know that there are lots of people who think that the Uyghur genocide is just a made-up thing, like an American propaganda, so that maybe there, while having discussions about it, people who are, let's say, entitled, because they would probably think that I'm just a student or just a translator, like I don't have any right to say something about that, who maybe have a like a bigger knowledge, like maybe user, you can just go on there and tell people just like immediately there when you have the questions, because like events like this is just like, we are already your followers, so that's why we are here. But to reach bigger audience, I think we need debates. So yeah, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to hog up the stage time, but I just am very passionate about social media, and you bring up a really great point, because these platforms are not safe, right? I love Instagram for the reason that a lot of these Gazan, like people from Gaza on the ground, utilize that platform because it's the best way for them to instantly publish what is going on, in hopes that it's reaching people And that's where people like Muslim or other people see that, and we're able to like use that to share it and spread the message. It's like, you know, like a relay race, and it's like a baton being passed and passed and passed. Each platform serves a different purpose. And I always tell people who are on social media the importance of diversifying your presence across all social media platforms. Not just Instagram, having a presence on X, on Twitch, on YouTube, on TikTok, even Snapchat. You know, mashallah, like Muslim, like our platform, even though Instagram is our most followed platform with 6.5 million followers, we grew a large platform on TikTok with 3.5 million followers. On Threads, 1.5 million followers as well. On Facebook, on Snapchat, and each platform, for instance, the content on our TikTok is different than the content on our Instagram. Sometimes they bleed through, but we know that the demographic on TikTok is much more younger, more trendier, and they receive messages and information differently than how they would on Instagram. Similar to like your point about like Twitch, like live streams and being one-on-one, like that platform serves a purpose of like just like being connected to like a person that's speaking. So I always implore people who have the capabilities, right? Even our YouTube channel as well, we have different content. One of our viral videos was Palestinians coming in to react and talk about the latest, like, you know, like videos or the crisis of what was, you know, happening or going viral across social media at the time. So different social media platforms serves different purposes, and it's always important to diversify, because what if one day Meta is like, bye-bye, we're closing down your account. You spent so much time putting all your eggs in one basket, and now you're got to start to zero again. Whereas like if you diversify your social media following across the board, okay, like we're going on to TikTok next, we're prioritizing, you know, YouTube next, we're re-strategizing our direction. And also, most importantly, most importantly, people always undervalue this, but building an email listserv. That is the most OG, original way of communicating with people one-on-one, and it's the most impactful. How many times have you guys received emails from promotions because you signed up for something? That's how they reach, you know, people. And it's like direct to audience, direct to consumer. So I always implore people to have email listservs, because what if one day all social media shuts down, everything is gone, you have an email base to reach people, to reach a message, to have it out there. So you bring up a really great point, and I just wanted to emphasize that.
So I'm going to be critical and say that social media shouldn't be an endpoint. Social media should be a springboard, right? So to me, I think we're at a really dangerous point in human history where we think that we consume all information and knowledge off these big tech platforms. You can't engage in nuance. You can't engage in engage in detail. There's really no intellectual production on social media. So the way you have to think about social media is that it's a springboard to access books, to access research, to access long-form detailed analysis of really important issues, right? So instead of following somebody with 10 million followers, you should be reading Edward Said, right? Instead of following an Instagrammer who has a Twitch account talking about what's happening in Gaza, you should read Ghassan Kanafani, right? Instead of like learning about social and racial justice from somebody with a massive account on X, you should read James Baldwin. I'm really concerned with young people being so fixated on social media that they're really neglecting and overlooking real intellectual production from intellectual giants from days past and individuals writing books today. So I hate social media. I'm not a fan of social media. The only reason I'm on social media is because I understand that young people aren't reading books as much anymore, right? So I view my posts as being sort of a carrot that if you read my post, hey, you might in fact read my academic article. You might in fact read my book, right? So you can only capture so much from headlines and snippets and captions on social media. That should be a springboard towards reading, developing an expertise, developing a deeper insight on all these issues, whether it be Gaza, the Uyghur Muslim genocide, what's happening to Rohingya folk, what's happening in Ukraine. This really demands really engaged, deep analysis and knowledge that comes from consumption of books.
Yeah.
Just do a little survey here. How many people have read a book in the past 300 days? How many people have read a book in the past 300 days? MashaAllah. How many have finished the book? I haven't finished many books. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I read a book once and it hurt my mind. I'm not the brightest guy. But what Khaled is saying is very, very true. And just one more point I wanted to add, and that was about the social media platforms. Because sometimes I'll hear people say this, and I'm sure you've heard this, if we're boycotting Coke and we're boycotting McDonald's, why aren't we boycotting Meta? Why don't you delete your Instagram account? Why don't you stop using a phone? Stop using airlines, stop using anything that supports Zionism. It's not a biography. Anyways, why don't you just stop using all of those? Well, for now, those are the most efficient tools at our disposal for bringing voices, raising voices from people in Gaza, our Uyghur brothers and sisters, etc. But then it goes back to a point we discussed just recently. Why aren't we creating our own social media platform as well? That's something we also need to look into. That is something we have the expertise. Why don't we have our own? Yes, for now, diversify. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, whatever. But why don't we have our own as well?
Sorry, I want to add on again. I am chronically online, chronically on social media. I'm the biggest advocate for social media. I do think social media should be a springboard for action. I do want to emphasize, the importance of social media, though, because we're up against Western legacy media and controlling narratives and framing stories. And the Washington Post just uploaded a report recently that at a very fast rate within the last year, legacy media, Western media is taking the biggest hit that it has ever had in terms of viewership, membership, and people seeing their content, right? Muslim, mashallah, has more followers than Al Jazeera, right? More followers than TRT, right? There's a reason for that, and it's because Muslim is more than just a news outlet, it's building a community. And the reason why all these legacy media and Western media is falling and dying at a rapid rate is because people are fed up. They're fed up with the biases, they're fed up with the narratives, and they're tuning into communities, even influencers and creators that align with their values, because that's how they're going to be receiving news. We're not receiving news through articles anymore. We're receiving our information and news straight from social media, and so it actually is really crucial and important for us to make sure that we are shutting down, because it's going to create a trickle effect down the line for us to be reclaiming our voices, our narratives, and to shutting down all of the empire that comes with the media. So I just wanted to put that emphasis because I'm really passionate about social media, and I don't want this to be like some form of like deterrent from us from using those platforms, and to hear like things that are like boycotting Meta. When I hear stuff like this, I'm like, we have to choose our battles. Meta, as awful as it is, we need to make sure that we still have a presence on these platforms, because that's what is fighting against the system, I just wanted to make that last point. I'm sorry.
Are you sure you want me to give it back, or?
So, do you want to add something, or? Okay, so I just want to finalize with one question, and after that, inshallah, we finalize. We started to introduce the Harmony project by introducing Brother Yavuz by himself. So I just want to ask Brother Mohamad, who is representing Droplets of Mercy. So what is the Droplets of Mercy, and why Droplets of Mercy in Turkey as it is in other countries? Can you just brief to just introduce Droplets of Mercy, and we end this very excellent panel?
No, definitely. Jazakallah khair, thank you for that. And thanks for Harmony Project as well for this event and this collaboration. Briefly, what is Droplets of Mercy? Droplets of Mercy is a registered charity in Canada. And what we do is we work on a lot of humanitarian causes, whether it's Palestine, the Uyghurs, which is why we're here in Turkey, or Syria, and many, many projects around the world, Pakistan, Bangladesh, etc. And what we try to do is we focus on long-term sustainable solutions, not just Band-Aid solutions. Yes, distributions are good, but what's even better, investing in educating widows, for example, so they can generate their own income and work, which is one of the projects we have here in Istanbul, working with the Uyghur community. Which is exactly what I was going to say. Why are we here? So we are here to work with the Uyghur community in Istanbul. There's over, I believe, 10,000 Uyghur refugees displaced from East Turkestan, and we are here to provide from the food distributions to the education programs, all the way to sponsoring orphans, all the way to, inshallah, in the near future, building an education center and then a community center for the Uyghurs and for future Uyghur generations, inshallah. So that is one of the many things that we are working on, and inshallah, through everyone's support and generosity, and by the permission of Allah, we'll be able to achieve all these humanitarian causes, short-term, medium-term, and long-term. And inshallah, through this collaboration and many more to come, we can get the message out there as well.
Thank you so much. I just want to end like this conversation with one hadith that I really, really love it, and sometimes like it gives me very good motivation. So we are here. We have like the Palestinians, Uyghurs, and other people. We have social media platforms, organizations, charities, like political movements, resistance movements, law professors, accountant, the comedians, or should I say comedian accountant? Okay, that Muslim guy, and then the brother Ameer and everyone, Gen Zs, some Gen Alpha, and me in the middle, and then the senior people, that everyone are like, I think I witnessed a lot of things the Muslims. No, there is more senior than you. Okay, you are with me in the middle. Okay, sorry for that. I am not ageist, but my team is. When they surprised me with my 30 years old birthday party, I feel bad because like 30 years old, like, sorry. Sorry. Okay, so let me come back. So the brother said the professional bad and the professional good. I think the one the Muslim is doing something really, really good, we're trying to make it real good, real like seriously. Now the Uyghurs, no, not the Muslims we are defenders of the international law, right? We're defenders of the UN charters. We become the one who are advocating for the justice, and a lot of international mechanisms built by the West, right? That professional bad, build it. We are now want to make it perfect. Sometimes it is something like that. We have someone who has a 6.5 million followers, like more than a lot of bads, a lot of countries even. So he said he reaching 500 million people every month. It is like couple Europe, I think. So there's a lot of things we can do it very professional way. Because I think like we are helping, we are standing, we are changing the world, and we are actually standing with the oppression. Sometimes the oppression is the Muslims facing, the injustices we are living, and this bad, the beep world that we are just like living now, a lot of things, a lot of negativities, sometimes it giving us something really, really good. So I raise it as a Uyghur with the legacies of Ali Izzat Begovich, legacies of a lot of Muslim heroes who fought against oppressions. I know the oppressionists of the Iraqis, Syrian people, Palestinian and others, the Rohingya people, and mine also. Those like oppressionists they face, they negative is actually negative. The stories give me a lot of things, and this is me. And also I think the same as the Khaled, the same as the Yavuz, the same as the Muhammad, and the same as the Ameer and the Belal and everyone here. I think that hadith is like this. إِنَّمَا تُرْزَقُونَ بِدُعَافَائِكُمْ. You, the Muslims, you will get your rizq, actually get your things from Allah because of the weak people of you, because of the weak people, the ones who oppress it, the ones who has not much capacity, that you guys having a lot and a lot of power. So that means like there is something bad happen, and the Muslims become stronger and stronger and stronger. Like as Yavuz said, it is my wife is like a historian. And like if you see the story like it sometimes some oppressions, massacres, a lot of like the occupations took 300 years, 500 years, a lot of years, right, in the history. So it is like still the 1 year. Yeah, it is too much, but it is also not too much. So we need a lot of time. I think we have that time, inshallah. And then this kind of like the negative things we are facing now will give us strength. We make it something perfect, and then we will be strong enough again, have enough capacity to sometimes when we say stop, just one word, and they will stop, inshallah. So thank you so much for today. Everyone were very excellent. The brother Yavuz, thank you so much. Brother Khaled, Mr. Khaled, like you came as a surprise and you brought another surprise with you as a lottery. So like Brother Belal was like, Alhamdulillah, the barakah of this majlis and this masjid. And also Brother Ameer, Muhammad, and me is Adan. So thank you so much. Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you so much.